I'm Dr. Willie Wilson. People in Chicago have been crying out for justice, equality, and fairness from their government for years. And it keeps getting worse. Unfair taxes, laws that unjustly imprison nonviolent offenders. The rich get richer, and the everyday people suffer. It's time for a change. With your help, I'm here to do it. I'm asking for your support as I run for mayor for the city of Chicago.
Paid for.
I could not rest. I could not rest. I could not rest if I've gotten mine and you haven't gotten yours. If I've gotten mine and you haven't gotten yours. If I've gotten mine and you haven't gotten yours, something just ain't right.
But there's a long tradition of these types of voices of conscience. So I just immersed myself in the world of St. Sabina and spent time with Father Mike and his peacekeepers and the community there and tried to learn as much as I could.
We love you on Windy City Live. Yes, we do. Tell us, how did all this happen? How did this come about?
Well, I play me. I play Val Warner in Chirac, which is really cool. So when people see this movie, they are literally seeing Val, and I am a reporter in the movie.
We talk about the violence, but what can we do personally?
I think we got to be engaged, and I think engaged in a number of things. In our block, in our home, in our neighborhood, we got to be engaged. We got to fight the issues. We got to fight a government that is abandoned, whole communities on the south and the west side. We got to fight a governor who's cut out every youth employment program, who's cut out violence prevention programs, who's abandoned our communities and the poor and the vulnerable. And I think we got to reach out to our brothers on the street and love them and respect them and help them, not just demonize them.
My participation is only because of Mr. Spike Lee, our leader, our director, and he reached out to me and blessed me with the opportunity to be in this film and said that his mission was to save lives in the south side of Chicago.
I'll just say like this. First of all, give you the history of coming to Chicago and telling my jokes as a young cat. I'm 37 now. I started about almost 15 years ago. Elroy taking me under his wing, letting me do some jokes here and there for the radio stations and all that kind of stuff.
We are more than that. We are more than that. We're greater than that. And I feel like in places like this, or Chicago, or whatever you want to call it, the hood, whatever you want to call it, like, it's too much attention dwelled on the negative.
I learned that no matter what you do and how much of a genuine heart you have, and if you're coming from a good place, people are going to criticize if they don't agree with what you're doing.
Hi, we're from Empire, and you're watching the Higher Learning Network.
So how long have you been standing here?
Not too long, like an hour. So we're moving in fast. This is a good sign.
Yo, what's up? It's your man Tony Schofield from 106.3 Chicago's R&B, and you are watching Men on Higher Learning. Now, I used to hang around with some men that was into some higher learning. It just wasn't that kind of higher learning, but I got myself together now, okay?
What is it that you do in your quiet time, in your meditation time, that allows you to bring us the films that you do?
I sit courtside in Madison Square Garden, world's most famous arena.
And you're watching CTV on the Higher Learning Network. Put your hand right.
I was raised in South Jim Crow days. I'm just tired of white people telling me what to do.
Come on.
With my own money. With my own money. With my own money. Right? I didn't use taxpayer dollars.
Well,
I used the money that I worked from 20 cents per hour to build a $60 million company, and I pledged to the Lord that I would more than tithe back to our community. I asked Attorney General Lisa Maddie to investigate him and cover up for Laquan McDonald's. The person shot 16 times. He don't even cover up today. If you're gonna be fair, Mr. Attorney General, I asked for her to look into that as fair as a citizen who pays his taxes. All right, there is nothing wrong with my paperwork. Look, and even if it was, then I'll be robbing like Robin Hood from the rich and paying the poor. I was raised in South Jim Crow days. I'm just tired of white people telling me what to do. Tired. With my own money. With my own money. With my own money. I didn't use taxpayer dollars.
Well,
I used the money that I worked from 20 cents per hour to build a $60 million company, and I pledged to the Lord that I would more than tithe back to our community. And we're giving those resources. 98% of the money I make go back to the community and the poor. Go back to the community and the poor. The 2%, I might take my wife on a vacation once a year, right? And that's about it. So I asked the news media who was here today, asked the Attorney General, will she honor my request as a citizen of Chicago in the United States of America to be fair to me, just as she would do to Ron. This is a request, all right? And see whether or not she would be fair to that. I never met her in my life. I just know of her. I understand that she is a good person, but the good gonna come out now in this whole situation here, all right? I asked you to challenge her in that. And my last comment is that as you look at all this thing, the way the situation goes, we have Pharaoh, Egypt, and we have the people, the aldermen who's on the plantation,
well,
who bought and sold up and bought. Of all the men who introduced something for the mayor, and they're not even running for mayor themselves. All right, it is enough. As a colleague said once, the great late Lou Palmer.
Lou Palmer.
It's enough to make a Negro turn black.
Scott?
We'll take your questions. Any questions from the press? Mr. Carter?
Have the aldermen, any particular aldermen, addressed you regarding their resolution?
I wanted to answer that for Dr. Wilson. Michael Scott Jr. Got so much pressure on him he said he has now removed his name from the resolution. Ed Burke, we know, was behind the resolution, but he was smart enough not to put his name on it. He got them 4 dummies to do it for him.
Was it actually introduced into the council?
Yes. Here we have copies of it for you. Well, it's in the Rules Committee now, and so they have to set a hearing date for it. But it's Resolution 2018-834. You can get it from the city clerk's office, and we do have a couple of extra copies here.
Have any of the other aldermen came to the campaign to explain any opposition to that resolution?
It's not a campaign issue.
It's not a campaign issue. But there are aldermen who have called me, I won't say their names, who have said ain't no way in the world they're gonna vote for it, because even Michael Scott had to admit that he gives away food to the seniors, he gives away turkeys and all that every year. And I told you what Walter Burnett and them do, and I'm not mad at them. I hope they give me a butterball again this year. I mean, if it's legal, I'll take it. You know what I mean? Scott?
Other questions?
Dr. Wilson, Mayor Emanuel has been talking about values and character as it relates to gang violence in the city of Chicago. The insinuation being that the elders in the black community church folks need to step up and be accountable and take some responsibility to helping to solve the violence problem in the city. Do you agree with that? And what is your plan to address the city's violence?
Mayor Emanuel is the person who stole the rocks and hid his hands, right? He have taken the taxpayer dollars, the contract out of the African American community, right? And responsible for all these things. He have taken the tip dollars, put downtown Chicago, his friends, neighborhood things of that nature. He'll take it and put grant now within the church, all right, to get them to vote for him. In other words, he do the same thing like each alderman that is in city council have taken money from Ron Emanuel, all right, and then vote on everything that he passed up there, all right. My solution for these violence is when I become mayor, take the dollars that the taxpayer take and pay into the city of Chicago, reflect each neighborhood. If you can put $8 billion into O'Hare, you can certainly take 2 or 3 of them $1 billion and put back into the black community.
All right.
To help trade down crime.
Stop
I do not believe in all these police officers hiring them. If they take and put money in there and keep hiring police officers, try and keep going up and up again. Where I would do it, try something new. I put billions of dollars in the community, create jobs, economic growth. You know, we won't raise taxes to run people out of the city. You know, therefore, every kid, a person want a job, can have one. Young men from 18 to 25 are over 49 to 50% unemployed. With mine being mayor, come up as mayor, we'll guarantee anybody that want a job can get a job. There ain't about 6, 7, 8 bad rough neighborhood into the city that people create problem with. But if you look at it this way, you have areas on the south side, nice neighborhood, people got jobs. Crime rate not high. You got them up north, people got good jobs. Crime rate not high in business. But you look at these other 8 areas, no job, okay? No business, crime is high, all right? So the key is taking there and bringing economic empowerment, economic development, equality to deal with the problem of crime. So he continues to do this so he can make his friends more rich.
But responsibility and values. Is the mayor talking down to black people?
Of course he is.
Without a doubt, he's not only talking down to black people, he's showing it. Without a doubt, he's not only talking down to black people, he's showing it. Without a doubt, he's not only talking down to black people, he's showing it. Where is the dollar? Well, how come less than 0.5% goes back into the black community when look, African American has to be about 27 or 29% of the city population, right? Latino equal about the same, a little bit more.
Historically, and it's been proven by scientists and urbanologists throughout history, if you take a community, and it could be a great community, like when they first built public housing, and they had running water, and people were working, and the elevators working, and then they did a study, UIC, and they took all the resources out of public housing, out of the buildings. They did the study on rats, and guess what happened? The rats began to turn on each other. The rats began to eat each other, to kill each other. The rats began to do horrible things. Then they built the public housing, then they took all the resources out of public housing. Now public housing is going this way. Instead of up and down, it's all across the black community. So if they take the resources out of the community, they know what's gonna happen. So if they take the resources out of the community, they know what's gonna happen. So if they take the resources out of the community, they know what's gonna happen. And if you walk around the west side or south side, you see closed businesses, closed schools, vacant lots. They know what the result is going to be. It has been scientifically proven that that's the results you'll get when you take everything out of the community, and that's what they did, and that's because Rahm wants this to be a white-only rich elitist, he only wants middle-class white people in this city. He only wants white, elitist, rich people and tourists in the city of Chicago. He's building a river walk. We can't even walk down King Drive. We want to be able to walk down Madison Street. Why spend $10 million on a river walk when we can't even walk in our neighborhoods?
I'm Dr. Willie Wilson. People in Chicago have been crying out for justice, equality, and fairness from their government for years. And it keeps getting worse. Unfair taxes, laws that unjustly imprison nonviolent offenders. The rich get richer, and the everyday people suffer. It's time for a change. With your help, I'm here to do it. I'm asking for your support as I run for mayor for the city of Chicago.
Paid for by Willie Wilson for mayor.
Well, first of all, the money wasn't given to me personally.
For your foundation.
Okay. What happened is I used every penny of it, and you'll see that come out very soon when Lisa Madigan get done with her investigation. All right. Every penny of those dollars went to the people for property taxes. His dollar, my dollar. You'll see my 200-some thousand or more. All right. A lot of it was given to checks. All right, mine. But there was some people came in, about 500 to 700 people that came in after we gave away all the check. And these people was from the neighborhood, and some from Maywood and out of town, et cetera, and Homewood and everything else. And these people are homeless, right? And I brought an extra $40,000, something like that, in my pocket because I knew this was going to happen. If you recall, 6 months earlier, I did the same thing. You know, downtown, same thing. 6 months to that, I did the same thing, all right? Prior to that, I did the same thing, right? Nobody said nothing about that. But so what I was doing in church was my way I do things, all right? So the governor, I told him, yeah, we talked, and I told the governor like this here, look, are you telling me this here that, look, if you want his money back, I'll write a check today. You know? And then that still stands right now. You know?
Did he ask for his money back?
No. But here's the thing. Anybody want their money back, okay, I write them a check for their money back, all right? I have no problem with that, none whatsoever, all right? My community is my responsibility when they take them downgrade it and run them out of the city. I take that as my responsibility, all right? So anybody who want any money back, I'm prepared to write it today, you know? So, but now, if you telling me, if anybody telling me that they only gonna give money to help the rich or the middle income, well, you telling me that you don't care nothing about the poor, homeless, people who have wheelchair, people who don't have rent, people being locked up in jail, disenfranchised. Scripture said, help the needy, you know. But I'm not going to be that way. These are people, understand, don't even have a bank account. A lot of them don't even have IDs. Because when you get in prison and let them out, you don't have IDs. You know? So how can you give a check for going, kind of cash a check and don't have IDs? You know? So those are my thought on that. And also to the news media, anybody else. You want to take and give me some money? Right to Willie Wilson Foundation. I'll give it away.
All right, that's it. Scott, I think we're done. We're good? All right,
Just wanted to clarify about the 350. That was to register the foundation. The money in the
yeah, the 315. No, it was just an annual. It was already registered. You have to pay it every year, and he paid it, and I'll show it to you. Okay.
It's now been paid.
Well, they sent the old check back, and we sent them a new check. And guess what? Dr. Willie Wilson's checks clear the bank. All right, we're last question. I mean, Chinta. Scott. I'm sorry.
Why give in and cancel your events? Those are really important to you.
Let me.
Why give in like
You want me to deal with that?
Go ahead.
It was my advice, Chinta. I'm just I advise Dr. Wilson because we don't want to run afoul of the Illinois Campaign for Political Reform. We met with them, Scott and I and Rox and Boss, and we said to them, we came to some understanding with them on a lot of things. For instance, we believe in term limits for the mayor. 2 years for the mayor, 2 years for city council. We believe in caps for self-funders. Was $1 million?
No, but 2 terms. You said 2 years.
2 terms. I'm sorry, I said 8 years. And when you look at it, aldermen making over 100,000 plus their per diems and all that, they're making 156 a year. So in 8 years, they've made $1 million, plus all they can steal. And we know it's probably more than that.
$1 million.
Plus all they can steal. All they can steal. And believe me, they're stealing. And so 2 terms, right, Scott, 8 years, $1 million cap. We agree on those kinds of things. And if we can get to it, what was that talking about? Self-funding. Public funding of campaigns, if we can get to that. So we don't want to, and we don't want to put Dr. Wilson in no more strain because of his giving and what's in his heart. So my advice, based on what I read in the complaint, because they want every meeting, every minute, everything you've ever done. I said before you got here, they want Dr. Wilson to empty out his pockets and show all his teeth and drop his pants and turn around backwards and get ready for a full rectal exam. So I'm trying to protect him from that. And if it forces us to stop his giving for a minute, then that's, the advice that I've given him. And I pray that he lives with that advice until this is cleared up. And let me say this. We hope this is not dragged out like Comey did Hillary Clinton. Amen. Because we know how this thing can go. You drag it out, and that's how we end up with Donald Trump. And nothing ever happened. Nothing was wrong. So we would like Lisa to, be expedient. We mentioned earlier what happened to the check. Alan asked it, 10 months. What happened? Well, the check was there for 10 months. The paperwork was there for 10 months. It disappeared. It reappeared right after he made the donations at the church and surged in the polls. So I think it's best that reading the complaint against Dr. Wilson, especially when you look at and we have that hearing next week with the Illinois, at the State Board of Elections, with the Illinois Group for Political Reform, and they are sincere, we think, but they're still going ahead with their complaint. So I don't want him to get in any more hot water over being just a great guy till this is over, and we're asking the AG to expedite it.
Let me also say this too, is that the reason why I put the foundation up a couple years ago, because it's only been in existence about a couple years, but here's my reason. Prior to a couple years, 25 of those years in the past, I was giving out of my own pocket, my own money, all right? But I did it was because people like my good friends, Charles Thomas, can have a place that he can come and give, any other person out here in business that can write it off, that we can have more people into the community. Those was the reason why I opened the foundation. Now we will, however, as Senator Hunter said about the foundation, halt that. But look, we would still give, but it'd be my own money. Well, I don't care about $500,000 or $1 million. The poor need, we'll stop the campaign, the foundation flow after September 1.
September, right, the last tax giveaway.
Tax giveaway to fulfill our commitment there. But the rest of it, I would go in my pocket and give away personally. So I want to make that clear.
So you're still giving away money, but it just won't be from the foundation.
I would, look, my money that I work hard for, as long as I'm not breaking any laws of the United States of America, I have a right to do what I want to do with my own money. As long as I'm not breaking any laws of the United States of America, I have a right to do what I want to do with my own money. My own money, I'm not going to pass to a person on the street who's laying down, don't have legs, and need money for food to eat. Amen. Right? You have to lock me up and die first. Amen. Before I would stop that.
All right. Thank you all.
Do you believe Chicago actually needs 50 aldermen?
You don't need them 50 aldermen.
No, that's definitely it. That's it. No, that's it. He'll talk to you personally. One-on-one. If you want to see Rock, go see Rock. Oh, T is going to set the one-on-ones up over there real quick, and we thank you all for coming. All right.
I'm Dr. Willie Wilson. Chicago is a big city, 234 square miles. We have 50 aldermen to watch over our neighborhood, but only one police superintendent. As mayor, I will add 3 more superintendents and form separate districts for them to be responsible for and bringing top management to the police force closer to our citizens.
Paid for by Willie Wilson for mayor.
I'm Dr. Willie Wilson. Neighborhood schools are the hearts of a community. It's where our kids learn, meet, and make friends. Friends they know in school and can associate with after school. It's where parents connect with other parents. Closing schools changes this and make our kids stranger in an unfamiliar neighborhood. Together, let's find a solution to reopen our schools and help them flourish.
Paid for by Willie Wilson for mayor.
I'm Dr. Willie Wilson. Chicago is a big city, 234 square miles. We have 50 aldermen to watch over our neighborhood, but only one police superintendent. As mayor, I will add 3 more superintendents and form separate districts for them to be responsible for and bringing top management to the police force closer to our citizens.
Paid for by Willie Wilson for mayor.
Hi, good evening. This is Maureen Forte of In the Know with Mo Talk Radio. I can be heard every Friday evening on www.blogtalkradio. This campaign for Dr. Wilson is a campaign for all people. We're talking about all people, regardless of race or gender, but for all human beings. It's time for a change, and Dr. Willie Wilson will be that change.
Watching the Higher Learning Network.
I could not rest. I could not rest. I could not rest if I've gotten mine and you haven't gotten yours. If I've gotten mine and you haven't gotten yours. If I've gotten mine and you haven't gotten yours, something just ain't right.